An American tourist arrived in Amsterdam and seemed genuinely shocked. "Everyone speaks English here," she said. A Dutch local smiled. "We learn multiple languages." The American looked confused. "I thought only America had education." The local seemed amused. "We have universities too." The American asked, "But how?" The local replied, "Investment in education." The American looked like her world shattered. "I watched an American in Tokyo discover trains run on time." "This is amazing," he said. A Japanese commuter nodded. "Trains are reliable here." The American seemed astonished. "In America they're always late." The commuter noted, "Infrastructure investment helps." The American asked, "You mean government actually works?" The commuter smiled. "When properly funded, yes." The American's mind appeared completely blown. An American student in Copenhagen couldn't believe college was free. "But how do you pay?" she asked. A Danish student explained tax system. The American seemed confused. "So everyone pays for everyone?" The Danish student nodded. "It's called social investment." The American said, "That sounds like socialism." The Danish student smiled. "We call it civilization." The American had no response. At a cafe in Paris, an American discovered tipping isn't required. "You just pay the bill?" he asked. A French waiter confirmed. "Wages are fair." The American seemed shocked. "But how do servers survive?" The waiter explained, "Living wages exist." The American asked, "Without tips?" The waiter nodded. "We're paid properly." The American looked genuinely amazed by this simple concept. An American family in Germany discovered healthcare doesn't bankrupt people. "My daughter broke her arm," the mother said. A German neighbor asked about treatment. The mother explained, "No bill came." The neighbor smiled. "That's normal here." The father seemed stunned. "In America we'd owe thousands." The neighbor noted, "Healthcare is human right." The family looked at each other in disbelief. I overheard an American in Stockholm discover maternity leave exists. "You get a year paid?" she asked. A Swedish colleague confirmed. "Both parents do." The American seemed floored. "In America we get nothing." The colleague looked shocked. "Nothing at all?" The American nodded. "Maybe 6 weeks unpaid." The colleague said, "That's inhumane?" The American realized maybe it is. Reality hit. An American tourist in Switzerland couldn't believe streets were so clean. "There's no trash," he said. A Swiss local smiled. "We have civic pride." The American seemed confused. "Don't people litter?" The local noted, "Rarely." The American asked, "How?" The local explained, "Education and enforcement." The American said, "In America trash is everywhere." The local replied, "We noticed." The American looked embarrassed for the first time. At a restaurant in Spain, an American discovered leisurely meals are normal. "You eat for 2 hours?" she asked. A Spanish diner nodded. "Food is experience." The American seemed amazed. "In America we rush everything." The diner asked, "Why rush life?" The American paused. "Good question." The diner smiled. "Life isn't race." The American sat back, really thinking for once. An American businessman in Finland discovered work-life balance exists. "You leave at 5?" he asked. A Finnish colleague confirmed. "Every day." The American seemed shocked. "Don't you work late?" The colleague said, "Family time matters." The American asked, "But productivity?" The colleague noted, "We're very productive." The American realized maybe overwork isn't necessary. His worldview started shifting slightly today. I watched an American in Vienna discover public transit actually works. "This is better than cars," she said. A Viennese local agreed. "More efficient." The American seemed surprised. "In America everyone needs cars." The local asked, "By choice or necessity?" The American thought. "Necessity." The local noted, "That's by design." The American asked, "Whose design?" The local said, asked your politicians? The American looked thoughtful suddenly. An American student in Oslo discovered prison focuses on rehabilitation. They have nice rooms, he said. A Norwegian guide nodded. Dignity matters. The American seemed confused. But they're criminals. The guide noted, they're still human. The American argued, in America prisons are harsh. The guide asked, does that reduce crime? The American admitted no. The guide said exactly. The American understood for the first time ever. At a pharmacy in Portugal, an American couldn't believe medication prices. This insulin is €5? She asked. The pharmacist confirmed. Yes. The American said, in America it's hundreds. The pharmacist looked horrified. That's criminal. The American nodded slowly. Maybe it is. The pharmacist asked, how do people survive? The American said quietly, many don't. She looked genuinely sad now. An American family in Iceland discovered safe neighborhoods exist. You don't lock doors? The father asked. An Icelandic neighbor confirmed. Rarely. The mother seemed shocked. Aren't you scared? The neighbor asked, of what? The father said, crime. The neighbor noted, we have little crime. The mother asked, how? The neighbor explained, low inequality helps. The family began connecting the dots. I overheard an American in Brussels discover multilingualism is normal. You speak 4 languages? She asked. A Belgian colleague nodded. It's standard here. The American seemed amazed. In America we barely speak English. The colleague smiled. We noticed. The American asked, how do you learn? The colleague said, education system. The American realized, ours is failing. The colleague nodded sympathetically. An American tourist in New Zealand discovered workers have rights. You get 4 weeks vacation? He asked. A Kiwi co-worker confirmed. Minimum. The American seemed floored. In America we get none guaranteed. The co-worker looked shocked. That's illegal here. The American said it's normal there. The co-worker noted, that's exploitation. The American paused. You're right. He looked defeated by truth. At a school in Denmark, an American parent discovered education actually works. There's no homework? She asked. A Danish teacher confirmed. Kids need childhood. The American seemed confused. But test scores? The teacher noted, we rank highly. The American asked, without pressure? The teacher explained, stress harms learning. The American realized, we're doing it wrong. The teacher agreed kindly today. An American businessman in Singapore discovered efficiency is possible. Everything just works, he said. A Singaporean colleague smiled. Planning helps. The American seemed amazed. In America infrastructure crumbles. The colleague asked, why not fix it? The American said, politics. The colleague noted, we have politics too. The American asked, how do you manage? The colleague said, competent leadership. The American looked sad. We lack that entirely. I watched an American in Edinburgh discover healthcare wait times are myths. I got seen immediately, she said. A Scottish doctor smiled. We're efficient. The American seemed shocked. I heard socialized medicine means waiting. The doctor asked, who told you? The American admitted, Fox News. The doctor laughed. They lied. The American said quietly, about everything. She looked devastated completely. An American student in Melbourne discovered gun violence isn't normal. No school shootings? He asked. An Australian student confirmed. We banned guns. The American seemed amazed. After one massacre. The Australian noted, Port Arthur changed us. The American said, we've had hundreds. The Australian asked, why no change? The American admitted, gun lobby. The Australian said, that's insane. The American agreed sadly for the first time. At a cafe in Dublin, an American discovered workers get paid sick leave. You don't lose pay? She asked. An Irish co-worker confirmed. It's law. The American seemed floored. In America we work sick. The coworker looked disturbed. That spreads disease. The American nodded. We know. The coworker asked, why allow it? The American said corporate profits. The coworker replied, over health? The American finally understood. An American family in Norway discovered electric cars are everywhere. Everyone drives electric? The father asked. A Norwegian neighbor nodded. Incentives helped. The mother seemed shocked. In America everyone drives trucks. The neighbor asked, why? The father said, masculinity. The neighbor looked confused. Cars aren't gender. The mother laughed. You're right. The father looked embarrassed. They both learned something today. I overheard an American in Lyon discover fresh food is affordable. This market is cheap, he said. A French local smiled. Real food should be. The American seemed amazed. In America, healthy food costs more. The local asked, why? The American explained, food deserts. The local looked sad. That's by design. The American asked, whose design? The local said, think about it. The American's face changed. An American tourist in Prague discovered history is preserved. These buildings are centuries old, she said. A Czech guide nodded. We value heritage. The American seemed wistful. In America we tear down everything. The guide asked, why? The American said, profit. The guide noted, short-term thinking. The American agreed. We never plan ahead. The guide replied, it shows. The American couldn't argue with that truth. At a protest in Berlin, an American discovered activism actually works. The government listens? He asked. A German activist nodded. Democracy functions. The American seemed shocked. In America, protests change nothing. The activist asked, do you vote? The American admitted system feels rigged. The activist noted, so change it. The American said, how? The activist replied, organize. The American looked hopeful for the first time ever. An American student in Barcelona discovered universal basic services exist. Public pools are free? She asked. A Spanish local confirmed. Libraries, parks, museums too. The American seemed amazed. In America everything costs money. The local asked, how do poor kids learn? The American said quietly, they don't. The local looked sad. That's segregation? The American realized, it really is. Truth hurt but needed to be faced. I watched an American in Zurich discover work isn't everything. You have hobbies? He asked. A Swiss colleague nodded. Life needs balance. The American seemed confused. I only work. The colleague asked, why? The American said, American dream. The colleague noted, sounds like nightmare. The American paused. Maybe it is. The colleague said, choose life? The American looked like something broke inside him in a good way. An American family in Wellington discovered Indigenous rights matter. Maori culture is everywhere, the mother said. A New Zealand guide nodded. We honor First Peoples. The father seemed surprised. In America we ignore natives. The guide looked sad. We know. The mother asked, how do you do it? The guide said, respect and treaties. The father noted, we broke ours. The guide replied, never too late. At a cafe in Montreal, an American discovered bilingualism is beautiful. Everyone switches languages seamlessly, she said. A Canadian local smiled. It's our culture. The American seemed wistful. In America we mock other languages. The local asked, why? The American admitted, insecurity. The local noted, languages enrich life. The American agreed. We're missing out. The local said, learn? The American decided, I will. Growth finally happened. An American businessman in Seoul discovered internet can be fast. This is incredible, he said. A Korean colleague smiled. Infrastructure investment. The American seemed amazed. In America, internet is slow. The colleague asked, why? The American explained, monopolies. The colleague noted, regulate them. The American said, companies own government. The colleague looked sympathetic. That's corruption. The American realized, you're right. He saw clearly for first time. I overheard an American in Lisbon discover young people can afford life. You own an apartment? She asked. A Portuguese friend nodded. At 30. The American seemed shocked. In America we can't afford anything. The friend asked, why? The American explained, wages are stagnant. The friend noted, that's exploitation. The American agreed. We know. The friend said, demand better? The American asked, how? The friend replied, organize unions. The American looked determined. An American student in Rotterdam discovered cycling infrastructure exists. Everyone bikes safely, he said. A Dutch student smiled. We build for people. The American seemed wistful. In America cars rule. The student asked, by choice? The American said, by design? The student noted, cities can change. The American asked, how? The student explained, political will. The American said, we lack that. The student replied, build it. The American felt inspired suddenly today. At a market in Athens, an American discovered community still exists. Everyone knows each other, she said. A Greek vendor smiled. Community matters. The American seemed sad. In America we're isolated. The vendor asked, why? The American explained, suburban sprawl. The vendor noted, that's by design. The American asked, whose design? The vendor said, car companies. The American gasped. Really? The vendor nodded. Look it up. The American's face showed pure revelation. An American family in Kyoto discovered respect for elders exists. Everyone bows, the father said. A Japanese host smiled. Respect is taught. The mother seemed impressed. In America we warehouse elderly. The host looked sad. We know. The father asked, how do you value them? The host explained, family structure. The mother noted, we've lost that. The host agreed. Individualism has costs. The family looked thoughtful. I watched an American in Oslo discover gender equality actually exists. Women have real power, he said. A Norwegian colleague nodded. Equality is law. The American seemed amazed. In America we just talk. The colleague noted, we act. The American asked, how? The colleague explained, mandatory quotas. The American said, that's controversial there. The colleague replied, results matter. The American agreed. You're right. He learned something. An American tourist in Reykjavik discovered renewable energy works. Everything runs on geothermal? She asked. An Icelandic guide confirmed. And hydro. The American seemed shocked. In America we use coal. The guide asked, why? The American explained, oil companies. The guide noted, short-term greed. The American agreed. Destroying our future. The guide said, fight them. The American looked determined. I will. Change began in her. At a cafe in Tallinn, an American discovered digital government exists. Everything is online? He asked. An Estonian local nodded. For decades now. The American seemed floored. In America we use paper. The local looked amused. We moved on. The American asked, how? The local explained, investment and vision. The American said, we have either. The local replied sympathetically, that shows. The American couldn't deny truth. An American student in Bern discovered direct democracy exists. Citizens vote on laws? She asked. A Swiss student confirmed. Multiple times yearly. The American seemed amazed. In America we can't even vote easily. The Swiss student looked shocked. They make it hard? The American nodded. By design. The Swiss student said, that's not democracy. The American realized, it really isn't. Her world shifted completely that moment. I overheard an American in Ljubljana discover small can be beautiful. This country is perfect, he said. A Slovenian local smiled. We focus on quality. The American seemed wistful. America focuses on size. The local noted, size isn't everything. The American agreed. We're miserable. The local asked, why stay? The American paused. Good question. The local said, life is short. The American looked like he understood. An American family in Bruges discovered preservation creates beauty. This city is stunning, the mother said. A Belgian guide nodded. We protect heritage. The father seemed sad. In America we destroy for profit. The guide asked, why allow it? The father admitted, we don't fight. The guide noted, then nothing changes. The mother said, we need to fight. The father agreed. The guide smiled. Now you understand. The family looked awakened finally. An American tourist in Copenhagen sat alone and cried. A Danish local approached with concern. Are you okay? The American looked up. Everything I was told was a lie. The local sat down gently. About what? The American said, about America being best. The local nodded. Propaganda is powerful. The American continued, we have nothing. The local corrected, you have potential. The American asked, how? The local said, demand better. Learn from others. Fight for change. The American wiped tears. I lived in a bubble. The local smiled kindly. Now you've left it. That's the first step to real change and growth.